Okay. Let's make sure everybody gets it. Okay, I think everybody's here. So thank you all for coming. Just a quick note, you should be able to see on your buttons below, there's like reactions, so you can give me a thumbs up. And you can put your questions for the speaker in the questions tab to your right. So if you all understood that, give me a thumbs up. Oh, I saw one. Come on, I need more love than that. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so that means there's comments down here. So let's start sharing the screen. So thank you guys for coming to Product Tank Austin. This is our August event, and we're really excited about doing this today. So let me just mute people real quick. So we get some, there we go, got some feedback. Today, we're having a talk on brand identity and influence in enterprise by Irene, and I didn't ask Mawathi, I think. I'll get corrected on that soon, I'm sure.
That's right, you got it.
That's right, awesome, okay. So today, we just did networking, and just so you know, at Product Tanks, we normally have networking before and after. On AirMeet, there's tables, some of you got to experience that. Please stick around after the talk today, and you can go back there and network. Then we're going to have introductions now. We're going to have the talk, Q&A, and then the networking. So our sponsors for this time is Product Hired and AirMeet. So Product Hired, I'm actually co-founder of Product Hired, so I'll keep on talking. Go to producthired.com. You can find jobs. You can post product roles for free. So there's product management, product marketing, product owners, data science, user research, product design, and project and program management. So we have 7 different type of roles. Basically, if you work on a product, we have something for you. We also have interview guides if you're wanting to practice interviewing. We also have an events page where you can search through all the events. And really excited about this. Next month, we're launching coaching. So there's a page right now for coaching where you can sign up to be notified about that. But it's essentially, you're going to be able to find resume coaches, portfolio coaches, or career coaches based upon the role that you're looking for. So if you're in product management, you can find people to coach you specifically on those 3 things coming September. So we're very excited about it. And of course, if you're interested in being a coach, go ahead in there and sign up too. We're wanting to launch with probably 50 or more coaches. So we're definitely looking for people who are willing to mentor and coach. And it can be anything from free to paid. So the coach themselves gets to set their own price. AirMeet. So we are on the AirMeet platform, and AirMeet started earlier this year, at probably about end of January, early February. And it's just been growing. Every time I join, we have a product tank on AirMeet. There's new features. So it's pretty exciting. We have a new feature called speed networking. So at the end, if you want to do speed networking, you just click the button up at the top. And if there's somebody else wanting to speed network, it'll connect you together for 5 minutes and you can introduce yourselves, and then it'll switch you. So give speed networking a try. But as always, we have AirMeet here. There's a support person here. It's Mohit. You can message him if you have any questions. But also give feedback. They really want to learn feedback and hear how it's going. And I just love AirMeet, and especially it's free to meetups. So we're very thankful to AirMeet for sponsoring this event. So Product Tank, what is Product Tank? So some of you are new, I heard in the networking table. So 10 years ago, product was pretty lonely. There weren't a lot of people in it. It was a very new role. Wasn't a lot of organizations. And so Product Tank was formed with the goal to help product people, not just product management, but product people who work on product, to meet and learn from one another. And so if you take a look now, we have almost 200,000 members around the world. It's a lot. I don't even know how they got all those people. And 200 cities plus. And I helped found a couple of those cities, so I'm pretty excited about that. Of course, Austin was one of the first 50, in the first 50, I believe. So we're pretty, it's grown a lot since we've started back in, I don't know, 2013 is when we started Product Tank Austin. So definitely check it out. Mind the Product is a mother organization and they hold product conferences. Strongly recommend them. They also have trainings and I also strongly recommend those trainings. So Product Tank's our meetup for product people by product people. And so it's informal, you know, this is informal. We bring together local product community, but now in the world of COVID, we're definitely a lot of remote people. And, you know, product managers, designers, data science developers, etc., to share their experience and knowledge when it comes to product. And so we have networking only lunches and happy hours. Those networking lunches and happy hours have actually turned into events now that we have talks because of COVID. We have informal events with 2 to 3 speakers to get the conversation started. And of course, we know you want to network with others, especially if you're looking for a job. So definitely network at the tables on AirMeet and tell people if you're looking. And we don't do sale pitches. The sponsors thing is at the very beginning and we don't talk about it again. So share, learn, network, have fun. We're here to serve you and to network with you. So in between meetings, we have a Slack community. And this is really for all product organizations in Austin, not just Product Tank. You can sign up by going to productinaustin.com. There's a place where you can join the community and it'll send you an invite. Give us feedback. I'm going to pause here. I want you to write this down on pieces of paper, okay? bit.ly/Product Tank Austin. Every word is capitalized, first letter, okay? We want your feedback. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you hate. Don't just give us roses, you know, let us know. We need to improve. So we know that. And this is the, oh, there, thank you for posting it, Ripa. Now you can just click it in the chat. But definitely fill that out, because, especially for these lunch times. This is the second lunchtime we've had, and we kind of want to know what you think about it. Hiring and finding jobs. So a lot of you are looking for jobs looking for jobs. So you can go to Slack or Product Hired, you know, plug there. Ripa, can you post the productinaustin.com link as well? So in the Slack, we have multiple jobs channels. We have a junior jobs channel. We have a mid-level jobs channel, senior, management, and remote. So you can join any of those channels and get jobs that match those criteria, posted from Product Hired. We auto post every day. But also, if you want to post a job, definitely put it on Product Hired, but you can also post it in those jobs channels as well. Every day, every weekday, we have new jobs. It's automatically being shot out to you. There's also a job networking channel. That's Job Club. And that's where you can kind of talk to people, ask advice, let people know like, hey, I hear Indeed's hiring or this or that or the other. Definitely post jobs on the jobs channels, but you can kind of give the inside word on the Job Club channel and let people know you're looking as well. And then, of course, we have another meetup that a lot of meetups together have kind of helped create. It's Product Hired Job Club. So it's a meetup that meets twice a month, focused on jobs in Austin. And so definitely join that meetup. It's on meetup.com. Just hit Product Hired Job Club. You'll find it. Sign up. The next event is actually tonight. It's a Women in Product and How They Got Into Product. So it's a talk on that at 6 p.m. So join, man or woman. We don't care. You know, it'll be great. So get involved. Social sharing. Product Tank, hashtag Product Tank, hashtag PTATX, if you do that type of thing. You can volunteer. We're always looking for help. Definitely reach out to me or Ripa. Ripa's a co-organizer. You can apply to speak. So this is another URL. Ripa will post it. But it's bit.ly Product Tank Austin Speak, capital P, capital T, capital A, capital S. And that's a form to kind of fill out what you would like to talk about and let us know. And we're not doing venues right now, and we're really not needing sponsors for happy hours. So, but hey, next year, if your company would love to sponsor or host a venue, let us know. We'll start planning next year events around the November timeframe. I think the rest of this year, we're going to stay remote. So I'm going to hand it over to Ripa. Thank you all, and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I just want to quickly take a minute to introduce Irene, mainly because Irene and I have worked together at Dell. We kind of keep each other in check to make sure we are doing the right thing for not just our team members, but our customers and our business partner. And through the process, we've both realized one thing that really makes a true product leader is how you are able to influence. And it gets particularly difficult in large enterprise. And I wanted to make sure we are able to share those learnings with you. Irene is just an awesome rock star product manager. And I'll let her kind of add on to anything that I've missed.
Thank you, Ripper. So yes, we have been on a journey at Dell, born out of necessity to deliver quality products for our business partners. And like Ripper said, it has been a challenge, very challenging, trying to transform a very traditional legacy organization to start operating in a new model. And so we've looked at those challenges. And so today I'm just going to go through that with you and share what I have learned along the way. I think earlier this week, after I met with Ripa last week, earlier this week, I went back to some of my business critics. Initially, they were the worst critics. Now they're our champions. And they were able to share a few insights and some learnings that I can definitely share with you today. So that's what I'm hoping to accomplish today. So I'm going to bring up any questions. Sounds good. Let me know when you can see my screen.
I see it.
Okay. So definitely, like we just stated, your leadership brand is one of the key things that we have found has become mission critical for most of our product managers who are working with our business partners. Because the key here and what we're looking for
No.
Technical difficulties.
You're on mute.
You? Testing, testing. You hear me?
I hear you fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like we have technical difficulties. Hold on a moment. We will find you. See when she gets back. Checking. Okay, here. She just got back. Let me go ahead and add her again. At least she's on the screen. How can we do this? Hey, Irene, can you turn on your video and join again if you're there? I see you as a user here. We all can learn a lesson. Make sure your battery's plugged in. I'm assuming that may be what happened. Okay. Well, while we try to get her to rejoin, what should we talk about, Ripa? Why don't you talk more about some of your experiences at Dell while we get her to join again?
Oh, wow. Way to put me on spot. This is a great time for me to do a monologue because I think most of you cannot respond. But please put something in chat if you have any specific questions. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I joined Dell a little over a year ago. And one of the things that I was asked to do, and the reason I joined was we were trying to get to digital transformation. And we were trying to figure out what does transformation look like Dell and how does that fit kind of the industry standards, where we think the industry is going as whole, etc. And as a product person, I'm like, well, everyone is building products. Let's figure out how Dell moves more closer to that product mindset and product model and how we actually build stuff, right? Most of you might have heard a term called feature factory. Most large organizations still do that, where we build feature after feature. And my team was brought on, I scale my team to really help Dell Digital kind of transform to what we call product model and really organize ourselves around creating autonomous product teams that are directly impacting the users that are interacting with their products, interacting with their business team. So my team leads kind of this enablement organization, which also upskills our existing talent to help team members and our existing talent move from things like the typical project manager, program manager role into a product management role. How do we implement CI/CD and some of the DevOps processes within the product team? And with all of that, we want to still make sure we are bringing in the human-centered design element into the process that, into our kind of day-to-day process. So that's kind of like my quick intro. If you guys have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
So I have a question, Ripa. What type of product manager, what are the skills of a product manager that you think Dell is really looking for?
It is, I don't know if it's just Dell or what I'm looking for, so I'll go with what I'm looking for.
Okay, what are you looking for?
So I think, so I come from technical background. I worked as a developer, and when I started my journey into product management, I skewed very heavily towards technology element. And then I got a job at an ad agency, which was super focused on user experience and design and all of that. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is cool. I should be doing more. So I was pretty much self-taught, but I kept leaning on one side versus the other. Versus with product management, it is kind of that the Venn diagram that you look at, which is a product management sits at the heart of business, technology, and design. And it is truly a person who is able to take all of that information and are able to look at something that even with all the blockers or risk, etc., are still able to figure out articulate the right problem statement and take that and work with the team to define the right solution. So I guess the balance is how I would summarize in terms of a skill within product management. Sherry, you said I mentioned something factory. It's feature factory. Essentially, what it is we focus on delivering features, right? We need to deliver this epic, this feature. We deliver 10 features, right? But we forget about why we are delivering those features, or is it impacting the metrics or goals that our organization has? So really coming out of that hamster wheel and think about the outcomes that we are delivering. Parvati has a question around what is the single biggest challenge you would say you had when you began at Dell? So for me, that was my first shift from agency side. So I worked at Razorfish before. I worked at one of the Omnicom company called Merkley and Partners. I worked at a startup. So for me, the biggest shift was moving to an enterprise, large scale. So I didn't realize how much processes or governance that I needed to be mindful of. I'm like, I just want to build this. Why can I not just build this thing? And it was really connecting to the team members because I was trying to figure out, like, I want this change, but folks aren't changing. What's the reason? So it was really like trying to connect with people where they are at and understanding their problem rather than trying to retrofit what my belief was against product management. Does that answer your question, Parvati? John, I'd be interested in hearing some stories of successes and challenges around shifting from reactive to more towards outcome-oriented mindset. That's a great question. So I'll tell you some of the challenges. And I think this kind of goes head in head with Parvati's question. When I was on my island, right? Like, I'm like, why isn't everyone just talking about outcome? It's so natural. Like, we should be just doing this because it's the right thing to do. But the way we approached this was when we didn't really see the changes, let's just do what we do as a product manager. Let's talk to our users. In this case, it was the teams that we were really trying to have adopt product model and go talk to them, see what are some of their challenges and why they do things the way they do. And it was really understanding their perspective. And that helped us build kind of this bridge, almost like a crawl, walk, run type scenario for us to figure out, here's what their journey to adopting product mindset look like. And it wasn't, we didn't do like, let's flip a switch, right? When you, or at least like when I've looked at agile transformation in past, there is usually a large amount of consultants that get brought in and they're like, let's do XYZ. This will make you go through agile transformation. We just took our time understanding the current situation and build essentially our roadmap that will let us move towards that product mindset. Hopefully that answers your question, John. Doreen asked, what are some guidelines you use to help influence without authority? I personally focus on why. I'm just laughing, John, because yeah, I wish we had a magic wand or Staples easy button we can just press and things just change automatically. Doreen, to answer your question, the authority part, like I've tried to be really empathetic towards, just like we would towards our users, to our team members, right? Because when you work across different stakeholders, different discipline, you really have to be able to connect to them. And if you're able to do that, you really ignore, or you don't even think about authority at that point. You are truly so ingrained within trying to solve the problem. One thing I think has really helped is having a product team that shares a unified vision. I've come across product teams that have roadmap, which may be fine, but they also don't take into consideration their product vision, or it's an afterthought versus something that you should be referencing as you're looking into building or prioritizing your roadmap. So truly having alignment across product team and having that unified vision, I think really helps align overall team members and bringing data to the table, right? Like that goes without saying, but talking about that as a reason why you would make the changes, or why justifying the reason why we think something is right. Okay. I know Irene is back, and
yeah, I had no idea.
To her versus me. So,
I got kicked out for some odd reason, and I didn't see because I have an entire screen. So, I don't know how far we got, but
we just went through like a sentence of your intro, Irene.
Yeah. And just FYI, if it happens again, they let me know that it might be because you're behind some form of firewall, and you might need to go like on a hotspot off your phone or something if that becomes an issue.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't know if you're at Dell or not, but
yeah, I am sitting behind Dell. Yeah, probably that's why. Okay. Well, do you need me to wrap up? I don't know how far we got.
I think we need to start from the first.
Okay, so so today we are going to talk about your leadership branding for impact and influence. Typically what we see are the main roles for product manager. At least we went back and we looked at what is it that we constantly hire, because we need to change some of the things we're looking for. And we found we have a pretty generic, job description for product managers. And it talks through, the standard, we need somebody who can work through a product visions, roadmap, strategy, coordinating teams, and streamlining the product creation. Well, with that, we looked at some of the other things that we tend to ignore, and why we can see why we have some challenges once PMs come into enterprise. The biggest thing is market research. I think a lot of times when product managers come into enterprise, they're somewhat surprised that it's so difficult to get that market research. And we rely heavily on our business stakeholders' opinions and their insight into what they're looking for. And they also have the budget. So there's quite a bit of IT tends to be a strategic partner. And so we tend to listen more to what our business stakeholders need. And that market research is somewhat of an afterthought in enterprise. Customer loyalty is also driven by sales organizations. So a lot of times we hear our VPs don't, for the longest time, they have not valued product as a way to enhance customer loyalty. And so a lot of times, they just see it as another bright, shiny object rather than the value that it actually brings, because they depend on sales to build that customer loyalty. Software implementation, a lot of times, is just for reporting and oversight, keeping our P&Ls very healthy, which means that our customer experiences and user interfaces are usually an afterthought. And again, for huge enterprise organizations, they do see themselves as, they've stayed in the game for so long because their processes work. Why change them now? So what's that led to is we find different types of product managers because they operate differently, not as effectively as we would like them to operate. And so we've kind of identified, we have a few, and I just, yeah.
Can you put this in presentation? I think folks aren't able to read it.
I'm sorry, what?
Put your deck in the presentation mode, or zoom in, please.
Oh, zoom in. Is that better?
Yeah.
So for our product managers, we found we're still tweaking a few things internally. We tend to have more of a CEO. The CEO is a brand custodian, usually loved and trusted by the business and their leadership. But a lot of times they stay loyal to the brand and not necessarily to the customer. So we always find the customer is an afterthought for that CEO custodian type of product manager. On the other side, we have the firefighter who's always managing conflicts, resources, timelines. Enterprise tends to have a lot of teams that need to do different things in order for the product to come together. So this person, the key qualities is that they get the job done, but typically we have found that the customer is the last thing on their minds or to be addressed. They're more concerned about just managing the work and managing the day-to-day. Then we have the orchestrator, the conductors, we call them. They're more collaborative. Our business stakeholders love them. They avoid conflict. They manage everything well. There are no escalations, very politically astute. But they may tend to ignore the customer's voice. A lot of times we find that they avoid bringing up certain topics because they don't want friction. So that leads us to get subpar results. And like I said, we're still working on the other types of product managers we've seen internally. So I went back this week and had a discussion with my stakeholders. And I think one of the biggest things they brought up is that they would love to see more product managers be more self-aware. And when they're talking to them or interviewing them to see whether they can run their products, they would like to see people who are, understand what they bring to the table. The stakeholders or VPs, they don't want to have to guess what value can this person actually run my entire product, which can be multi-year, a lot of money, a huge budget. Can they run it and be successful? Especially where they have business teams that are constantly in conflict or competing. They have a lot of competing agendas across board. So that led me to start thinking, for today's topic, it's to lead people to start thinking more about how you see yourself and how others see you. It's I am big on 360 feedback, getting that from the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think it really does help you tap into enhance your self-awareness as you're moving through the journey and growing through your career. So the other thing that we find to be, I'm going to reduce this just a bit. The other thing that we find to be lacking when people come into enterprise is understanding you're walking a fine balance between the organizational alignment and your personal branding and capitalizing on both in order to be successful. We either find product managers who are so focused on the customer, they don't quite get the organizational alignment or what the organization is looking for. And so we are working on all our product managers to really bring, create a cohesive alignment to the organization as well as the customer. The other thing that has come up this year, especially, is product managers need to build a brand that is authentic, that can be trusted by our leaders, and that improves trust. The more you gain trust, the more you get that ability to lead bigger and bigger products evolution through the organization. Another one is a social process or social awareness or people skills or building relationships. There has to be some clear insight in how well you work with others to give direction and create alignment and build that commitment. Clearly, you're not going to be successful if you cannot do that. And then a product manager must also understand they are a transformational leader, especially in enterprise. And it's important to build that tribe, that community, and bring others along who are curious, because initially not everybody might want to jump on board, but they are curious to understand. And it's almost like your job to change mindsets. As part of branding, a lot of people this week were asking me, well, why should I brand? Well, it conveys your identity and your distinctiveness within the organization. It also makes it very clear what's the value that you actually offer. It enables you to generate your maximum value, and lead where you're powerful and let some of the other things go. So it concentrates your efforts on the right activities, and everything else that somebody else can take on because they're good at that, you can let that go. So like at Dell, I am known for working with some of the difficult business teams. And then we have other people who are really good. They're the data guys, data gals. And then we have our customer experience PMs who are really hard focused on customer experience. And so everybody just brand yourself for something. Let people see what value you bring to the table, which helps other people understand what you're really offering, if that makes sense. And so as a last resort for the next 90 days, and I gave this to some of my PMs internally, there are leadership tools and activities for you to go and really figure out, do self-assessments. Most people do their Myers-Briggs, which is awesome. But some of the others that we find really useful is the EQ and blind spot assessments, and bias, and also performing under pressure. I think enterprise, there's a lot of pressure to deliver things at a certain point, which a lot of times can be very challenging for a lot of people. So I gave you a link over to USC, the Master of Leadership. I've taken it before. It's pretty cool. I find they offer a lot of things just for free, which we are helping most of our PMs just walk through that and figure out what works, what doesn't work, and what they need to work on. And then there's an article I found in Forbes that I found to be pretty interesting, which is this thought leadership, everything it's cracked up to be. And it's circulating internally, which I found that most people need to read that to really understand how leadership may work and how they can use it to influence if possible. So I leave you with that. And that was what I wanted to share today. I hope I didn't lose you again.
No. Thank you, Irene, for walking through that. I definitely echo the stakeholder sentiment. I think it is a change for them as well, right? We talked about earlier. We want to empathize with folks that are going through change with us, and part of it is really trying to connect with those business stakeholders and really making them understand. And a lot of the branding comes in terms of you're partnering with them, right? You're not trying to enforce XYZ changes on it. So I found super helpful, and thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, our stakeholders are key. So it's important to bring them along for the journey. Yeah. but yeah, being collaborative, building relationships, and proving the value, I think, has been the biggest thing. Is there value, or is it just another shiny object you want me to come along for the journey, right? So that those are some interesting discussions as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For sure. I see Mark wants you all to put some questions and Q&A. Mark,
okay.
just FYI, I only see chat. I'm trying to figure out where the Q&A is. I see questions.
Yeah, there could be questions over underneath chat on the right.
Found it.
It's food for thought. I know a lot of people, the biggest feedback we've heard as I've been going around with this is that people don't think about branding as a big thing. A lot of people just walk in, let's do the product vision, let's do the roadmap. But branding is huge. And so it's always left off the table on the job descriptions. Maybe that's something we should start talking about during interviews. I don't know. But we'll, definitely something to think about. Cool.
We've got one. Okay, so John is asking, do you have any practical tips or tactics to share in terms of building relationships with stakeholders or other departments, business units?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through a slew of them. They keep evolving. So there's really no one way of doing anything. I think, you have to reach out. I think the biggest thing I tell everyone is don't wait. It's not just about work. Sometimes it's also about just touching base, seeing how they're doing. COVID is here, so check in, be human, right? Give it a human touch.
There she goes. Okay, well, that firewall. Darn it, Dell. Okay, guys. Well, I think we're going to, let's see, maybe we can answer these questions. How do you say no to stakeholders and customers and keep them engaged and on your side? Oh. How do you do that, Ripa? You're muted, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, she's back.
Okay.
She's back.
I keep getting kicked out. It's a lot of fun over here, man. I have to keep an eye out. So all I'm saying is a lot of times we found that product managers, really, to build that relationship, it also helps to understand where your business partners, what are their goals, right? It's one thing to come in and say you're doing this thing, but you have to have a very clear understanding of what lies behind their motivations. And sometimes those may not align with you, but once you talk to them, you can really get a clear picture of what's going on behind the scenes. Enterprise does have a lot of behind the scenes back channeling, extremely political. So keeping that awareness and touching base with them, and also just, being personable and reaching out to them, asking them how they're doing, all these things add up eventually. And I think they have, building that relationship really helps. So just like anybody else, make them your friend. I know that's hard to do, but, get to know them as people, not just as bosses.
Cool. Next question. How do you say no to stakeholders and customers and keep them engaged and on your side?
Well, it's called no, but that's a big one. We use that a lot. When you say no, I think you have to have a reason or a solution to that problem, right? It's not ideal to go to your senior VPs and just say, no, we're not going to do that. That's never going to work. So you can say no, but offer a solution or show them why, right? Back it up. Let them, let them decide for themselves. Don't ever give somebody any impression that you're just blocking them, because they're going to react equally and just see you as a roadblock and then start working towards removing you from their path. So it's critical in how you say no, show them solutions, show them options, or other things that can work for them, or just tell them, let's go think about that and come back with something better.
Okay, next question. Do you have any practical tips or tactics to share in terms of building relationships with stakeholders? Or didn't we already answer this?
Yeah. Well, you can't buy them coffee.
Let's see. Maybe I click answer to the wrong one. Okay, here we go. With the difficult to work with business teams, what approach do you take when trying to get them to see the value in what you're trying to sell? Are there any particular tips that work well?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one, because it's a hard sell before you have a tangible product to show them. But I think because now we've built several products, I'm actually using this card right now where I have gone and found another stakeholder where things have worked for them based on how we've delivered. And they're coming into our meetings to really share their experience with that other VP. And somehow that makes things easier. So if you can find somebody who can advocate for what you've done for them and share that will also, enlighten the other person or educate them. And then they can start saying, oh, this actually works. Okay, let's try it. So find your advocates, remember when I say build your tribe, that's precisely what I mean. Find people within the business who will champion the value that your team is bringing, and they will sing your praises to other people.
Yeah, and wouldn't you almost say, Irene, it's as the goal is the same, right? The goal is both of you want to do what's right for the user. You need to figure out what's that common goal that business versus you are driving towards, because it shouldn't be you versus them anyway.
Well, true. The goal is the same, but I think the challenge is especially with the most vocal business partners, is what they see as value may not be what the team, it doesn't meet the data. And so the team needs to do something different and show that, no, what you proposed is great, but this is a better way because here's the data, here's what backs it up, and this is the reason why. But, there will be some stakeholders who will say, well, why should I trust you? Then you say, well, go and talk to so-and-so, go talk to so-and-so. And you really have to build those advocates within IT and within the business as well. So where you have differing opinions and proving that value, sometimes they don't even know what you're talking about. Just bring other people to those discussions. Yeah, but the goal is the same. The goal is the same. We're all marching to the same, place, the true north.
Okay, looks like we got a couple more questions. What are the qualities you look for in an APM or junior product manager, and which skills you like for them to have?
Oh my God, communication. This is enterprise. So this is huge. We want PMs who can communicate, and I can honestly say we've had a lot of people in our engineering department, or people who work their way to senior devs, almost architects, who want to become product managers. But sometimes that communication is a skill set that they just need to keep working on a little bit more before we can let them be product managers. So communication and being able to understand the unspoken as well as the spoken, if there's anything like that, especially in the virtual world, right? And people who are very aware of certain behavior, can read a room I think that's huge for me. If you can read the room, yeah, you can be successful.
Okay, next question. I mean, it's similar to this, but can you please provide emerging product managers steps to follow in order to be successful?
Oh, steps to follow. You know, it depends on every organization. I would say the first step when you come to an organization, definitely establish your mentors. Make sure you have mentors, not just your managers, but really the people that you serve, which are going to be your business partners. Find mentors in those organizations. Find what works for them, what makes them tick as a whole. Other steps is to learn about the product, right? We have enterprise legacy products. Find out, why do they use those products? Why are they so loyal to something that is so outdated? And then figure out how you can bring something newer, better to the table, right? You have to understand where people are and why they're holding true to something before you can start pitching the next new thing. And a lot of times people think they know the next new thing, but it really helps to understand why those loyalties lie to some of the vendor products. We've seen this with Salesforce and other vendors. And then we see this with a lot of legacy systems. They don't want to let them go. And a big thing is find out what their level of trust is for IT, because there could be situations where IT has dropped the ball, and so the business doesn't have that level of trust. So while you're bringing them a new product, just find out what are some of the things that you need to take back to your IT leadership to really help solidify what you're trying to do. Because if you can't build that trust and you don't have that backing, it's never going to work. So those are just my key, like my top 5 is really understanding the lay of the land, the people, building your mentors, and start building those relationships slowly.
Cool. I think that's it. I think the last one is actually a statement more than it is a question.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much, Irene. Are you able to stay 15 or so minutes in the networking chat and just do an AMA there in the lounge table?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, this is it. I went ahead and put the links in the chat for the surveys. Please fill it out. One person has filled it out thus far because I got the email. But again, we apologize for the world, I guess. I mean, the internet and COVID and all this stuff. But hey, we work with it. We roll with it. It happens. Feel free to hang around in the social lounge. Irene's going to be there to answer any more of your questions, and I'll be there to answer any questions on Product Tired. There's 2 tables, one for AMA for Irene and one for Product Tired. We'll join those. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you later. Take it easy. Bye.